Hey, hey, hey. This is your sister, your friend, your girl, your auntie, Erika Brown. I'm here with Soulful Revelations. I'm ready. I am ready. I have a new guest here tonight, a guest host. Y'all always hear me say auntie. Well, I guess I brought my niece here tonight, y'all. I'm going to let her introduce herself. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hey everybody, I'm Lenedra.
Go ahead. What, Lenedra? You are
Yeah,
my niece. How are you, my niece?
Auntie Erica is my dad's sister.
Okay, I'm her daddy's sister. Yes. So this is my niece. She is. Let me see. One, two, three. She is the fourth oldest of my nieces and my nephew. So it's four before her, I think. It's so many of them jokers, honey. But it's four before her. So yes, so this is my niece Lenedra. Everyone calls her Day Day.
Yes.
But we're gonna call her Lenedra tonight. We'll call her Lenedra tonight. I have Lenedra here on the podcast with me tonight. We're gonna talk about just a few things. And I know you all saw our topic tonight. Our topic is life be lifing, and that's just the honest to God truth right now. That's where we are in life. Life is just life. And one of the biggest things that Lenedra and I both will talk about is being able to come together as family. Sometimes, and I know I've personally seen where when times are tough, that families don't come together. And however, I thank God that I'm not a part of that family. I thank God that we were taught that when things get tough, we band together. It's not even a thought process. It's just a matter of who does what and when you gonna do it. That's it. So, um, and I just think that it's not even a matter of um my mother like pulling us to the side and saying, I'm going to teach you how to be there for family. No, it wasn't that. It's just that we watched them be there for family. I watched as a little girl when my dad would wake up in the middle of the night because someone called him because their car broke down. And he was like, "Oh, such and such car broke down. Let me go get it fixed." I watched how my mom would, get up and such and such needs me. I gotta go. I watched how, and I actually even told this story just recently. Um, my nephew went to prom a couple of years ago, and while we were taking pictures, his date was struggling in her prom shoes, like her prom shoes. She was struggling to walk in those prom shoes, and we were taking pictures at the Thomas Center. And my niece, one of my nieces, she didn't even think about it. She unstrapped the little girl's shoes, and she took off her shoes and took her shoes off and put her shoes, which were flats, onto the little girl's feet. And I said, I knew why she did it, but I wanted to hear her say why she did it. So I said, why did you just do that? And she said, well, last year I watched my mama do it with his junior prom date because the same thing happened with the junior prom date. So I saw my mama take her shoes off and give them to the junior prom date. So with his senior prom date, which was a different little girl, same problem, different girl, she just did it. So sometimes parents don't realize that you're teaching your children by doing, not saying. So when I say family coming together, it's because you're teaching your kids by them seeing you do, not necessarily by you talking and telling them what to do. Did you want to add something to that, Lenedra?
Yeah, even with doing in front of your kids, I think the biggest thing that I've learned with parenting, especially having a teenager, is also explaining to them why you're doing what you're doing when they have questions. There was a period of time where we didn't get a whole lot explained to us. You talked about granddad, and I remember granddaddy was a man of few words, but we watched his actions.
Yes.
But his actions were never really explained to us. Granddaddy just did. And now, with this generation, not only do you have to do those things and show them, but you also have to, they want an explanation. So just learning how to break things down and explain why you're doing what you're doing as well. And I've learned that just from being a mom, but also just having a teenage daughter. She's like, well, why do we have to do this? And I'm like, because this is what family does. And I know I just explained further to her.
Exactly. Exactly. That's good. That's good. I think that I, the explanations were not given to us because we probably were scared to ask. Listen, we didn't come from that era where we ask a bunch of questions. So we were like, okay, we better just watch and just pay attention and just do what they do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's probably one of the reasons. Yes. But when life is tough, it's one of those things that I remember just expressing, like when parents did a lot of spanking in our time. It's because they were tired. They didn't have time to explain. When they wanted us to do something, they didn't have time to explain why I need you to do it.
Right.
I need you to do it because I'm tired and I don't have time to explain. I got to go on this job and explain myself to these people who I don't want to do all of that with already. I'm frustrated. I'm aggravated. I'm dealing with all types of things, sexism, racism, and all this stuff on my job. The last thing I want to do is explain things to my kids when I get home. I don't want to do it. I just want you to do what I told you to do because I take care of you. You don't take care of me. So those were the things that we had to face during those times. We're in a different day and time that we do have to explain some things to our children, but we still, as parents, you all still face some of those same things.
Yes.
Exactly. Um, However, it is imperative during these times that if you do have a family, that you can band together to stick together
Yes.
because tough times are going to come. You may not know what they look like. And the key is you can't pinpoint them. Um, if you can choose your cross to bear, you wouldn't choose a cross at all. If I could choose what my family had to bear, I wouldn't choose anything. But because I don't get to choose the things that I have to bear, the things that I have to choose, I just have to deal with the cards that I'm dealt. And the key is that God would not give me no more than I can bear.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so grateful that of the people that He placed around me to be able to bear it with me.
Yes.
Because there are times when I feel like I'm very strong. And then there are times that I feel like I'm not so strong.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as people feel like I present myself as a strong, powerful Black woman, there are times that I am not as strong. Not at all. Um, However, it helps when you have strong people around you.
Mhm.
It really does. So I will say to you all, if you don't have family that you can actually call family, especially when life be life in, pray those people in, because I remember there was a time that I lived overseas and I had no family outside of my husband at the time. And I just started to pray in people, the good people for me. And when I tell you that God sent some absolutely phenomenal people in my life and in my world, He did. And sometimes I hear some people say, I have no one. And I was like, then you don't pray.
Right.
Because if you pray, God will send good people in your world. He really, really would. My niece here, she doesn't live here locally anymore. And I remember when I went to visit with her, one of the things that I wanted to do is see the people who she worked with. And when I went to visit with the people who she worked with, and I went round to each one of she introduced me to each one of them in all of their offices, and I was like, oh my God, these people love her, and I see why she loves this place. And sometimes you never know why God placed you in certain places, because He'll put you around good people, but you got to pray those good people in. Sometimes it happens by chance, but when it's not happening, you can pray good people in your life. And then sometimes your friends, they do become family.
Mhm.
So you just have to be able to pray those good people in when life starts lifing. And
Yes.
I promise you, God will give you those good people. Go ahead. You want to add something, Lenedra?
Yeah, I wanted to add, when you say pray and God will add good people to you, that is absolutely true. I can vouch for, I have three friends that I have been friends with forever. When they come around, they're talking with my family more than me. And they have been around my family and they love me. They love my family. They're like sisters. And then I also have a question for you. Um,
Okay.
Wait, I want to go back
Ooh.
to what you said because
Okay.
because we talk a lot and we laugh a lot and within the family, even my mom's side, my dad's side, everybody, they always tell me I act like Auntie Erica. You act like Auntie Erica. And so with that being said, I know there's one trait that we carry. It's that we don't weigh on our shoulders the load that we feel. And
No.
so when we go out in public, and not even in public, even around family, even in our personal spaces, people can't always tell when that load is heavy and when we need people,
No.
because our words will never tell you how we're truly feeling. Our words will never tell you that we need help. We don't cry out for help in the same way that may be familiar to others.
No.
So you having more experience than me, how do you cope with everybody always thinking that you're okay?
Um, that's a that's a difficult one a little bit. So I can tell you one just recently, and you were there this past weekend when we were all gathered on Saturday, and um, when all of the guys were around and we were all joking and laughing and having a good time, and just kind of telling you all we were all just gathered, a family gathering, um, this past Saturday, and my niece's husband, some of his friends were around, and we were just joking and laughing. And in that moment was a low moment for me. No one knew that.
Right.
No one knew that that morning was very tough for me. No one knew that. I got up like I normally do. I got up, got dressed, shared a birthday breakfast, took pictures, posted pictures on social media. No one knew that morning was a hard morning for me. No one knew that. However, uh, a healthy distraction is always good for me because it helps me shake what I'm thinking so I can get back to my normal thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm normally very optimistic about life, period.
Yeah.
So I had to recognize what was making me feel like that in the moment. And once I recognized what it was and I got back home, I was able to come home. I was able to have a healthy distraction. Come back home and pray. Wake up the next morning new and fresh and do what I know I'm supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes people always say distractions aren't good. A healthy distraction is good because it takes your mind off of things that God didn't place there initially. Because sometimes we will allow certain thoughts to take us down rabbit holes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a lustful thought. A lustful thought will come and you'll let it take you down a rabbit hole. And then you call your ex-boyfriend from 3 years ago and asking him what he doing. It's the same thing. So you will let one thought take you down a rabbit hole to now you're like in a slump.
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned that I have to have a distraction from my thoughts. So sometimes I'll get up and go to the gym. Sometimes I put on a sermon. Sometimes I can't pray because my thoughts are strong in that moment. So my thoughts are taking over in that moment. So I need a healthy distraction. It's like that reset button on your computer. You can keep opening up windows, but until you do that whole reset, nothing is going to change on that computer.
Right.
So for me, everybody is not the same, but for me, I need a healthy reset. And when we were laughing and joking and just basically totally off our topic to the reason why we were there, it was a healthy reset for me
Mm-hmm.
to come home and now I can get back to the topic at hand and pray about what I needed to pray about in the moment.
Right. And
So
so
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I brought up my three friends. Two out of the three heard me without, you know, without me saying anything. And you talked about you coming up here to Tallahassee. Those same two friends came up here during that time, you know, just like God had told you to come up here and pour into me and see what I had going on up here during the time when the load was heavy for me. Those same two friends heard me without saying, and they came the day after you and they poured into me and they helped me and they, you know, and I didn't say a word. And so I asked you that question to bring up, I brought up my three friends, but I also asked you that question to also bring up why it's important to have praying friends, believing friends, and also, like you said, praying to God and making sure those are the people that are supposed to be in your life, because the people that are supposed to be there, they hear you without you saying it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
they see you and how you carry yourself. You look fine when you go out the house. You make sure you don't go out just looking any kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And you, when you talk to people, you're smiling, you're laughing. They see you pouring into other people. But what about the people, family who hear you when you're not saying anything, and those friends who become family who hear you without you saying anything. And
Yes.
so, you know, that's why I asked you that question on top of, to elaborate what you were saying, just praying good people into your life.
Yes. Yes, yes, and yes. I think sometimes that and we have a bunch of statements over here on the side. I'm gonna get to them in just a minute. But I think a lot of times when you're strong like we are, and people only see your strength, I always say they cannot be going to God about you.
Right.
Because if they are, they will see beyond your exterior.
Yes.
They
Oh, that's
can't.
good. I like that. I
They
like
can't.
that. That was really good. If
Yes.
if if you only see my strength, you can't be going to God about me, because he says that he will reveal things to you.
Yes. Yes. So sometimes, and what I've learned is people can't see beyond their insecurities for people who are strong like us. So they sometimes point out a lot of negativity about who they think we are
Mm.
because of their insecurities. Because those who are literally in prayer for us, they will see the weight that we carry.
Yes.
They really would. Those who aren't, then they don't see it. They just see this.
Yeah.
They see a pretty face, they see a strong woman, they see she must be this, and this, whatever. They don't see anything else. They
Right.
see she's always laughing, she's always having a good time, she's always traveling, she's always this, she's always that. They don't see the weight.
Mm.
So, I mean, there's nothing that I can do about that.
Right.
That's something that they have to deal with within themselves. And there's nothing that I can do about that. But for someone who sees it, they see it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm.
That's it. So I do have a couple of people who chimed in. We got our my nephew and your cousin, Mr. Dionis, said, my beautiful auntie and cousin. And we have also your cousin, Miss Jazz. She says a firm foundation allows for those solid connections to happen. This is good. And you're absolutely right, Jazz. Sometimes it does take a firm foundation to make solid connections to happen. People don't understand that. People don't understand why sometimes strong people only connect to certain people. And it's because I can't connect to wishy-washy people. I just can't. It ain't gonna work. When you like this, it's just not gonna work. Because I'm not wishy-washy. I am who I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. So when you don't connect to me, it is it's a lot of times it's because people start to feel some kind of way because I'm solid.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't
Bad days
necessarily.
are good days. Bad
That's
days
it.
are good days. I'm
That's
solid.
it. That's it. So
I'm
sometimes
solid.
people starting to feel they start to feel some kind of way, not necessarily me.
Now, my mouth, I used to be a pistol. So my words may not have said the right things at the right time and all the time, but my actions show. If I love you and I'm your friend and I'm your family, I'm showing up. I'm showing up no matter if I'm angry. I'm showing up no matter if I'm sad. I'm showing up no matter if I feel indifferent about it. I'm showing up, and my actions, that's what I bring as a friend. I may tick you off with my words sometimes, because sometimes I let my mouth get ahead of me, but my actions show that, like you said, I'm a solid person. I come from a solid foundation, and I'm going to be there regardless. If I tell you I love you, I mean it, and I'm solid. So
Yep.
I agree.
Yes.
I'm not
One
a
thing my
wishy-washy person when it comes to showing up for the people who I love.
yes.
Now, now I may speak out of anger sometimes, but yeah.
One thing that me and my best friend Sharice, we always talk about is we talk about how our mama showed us how to be friends.
Mm-hmm.
Because every person that we know, their parents didn't have friends, but our parents had friends that stood the test of time. Like, I knew her mother's friends, she knew my mother's friends,
Mm-hmm.
so we knew our mother's friends, and their friends stood the test of time, which showed us that our mothers knew how to maintain friendships.
Mm-hmm.
So they taught us how to maintain friendships. So what I've learned is I am a friend. However, if I choose not to be a part of that friendship anymore, it's because I have tried and I am tired of being somebody's punching bag and I am out. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of it. Yeah, that's it. But thank you, Jazz. Miss Rhonda Rivers Townsend. Hey, lady. She said, hey, this is good. And then Miss Brandy Dennis, she said, sounds like the spiritual warfare. Thank God for the healthy relationships. Rhonda, I'm sorry, Brandy. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am. And we have Miss Desiree Moody. She says, so true, so true. Um, yes, absolutely. So we're gonna transition a little bit. We're about halfway through. And talk about I said, like, I will challenge my nieces and my nephews every now and then. And I sent them a statement once and I said, what's the difference between abstinence and celibacy? Right? So they all kind of paused and was like, kind of thing. So I got a few answers here and there. And basically the difference between the two is abstinence is abstaining from sex for a period of waiting until marriage, whereas celibacy is abstaining from sex indefinitely, as if you were a priest or a nun, right? Those are the difference between the two. I know a lot of times people use the words kind of loosely, not understanding the definitions of the two and what they mean. So I try to correct them when they say, whether it's abstinence or celibacy. You are not a nun, nor are you a freaking priest at all. So you are abstaining. So you are practicing abstinence. And I talked about this, and I was actually going to mention this on another podcast, but I said, one of my Facebook friends, he posted on Facebook, he says, nobody gets married quicker than a bunch of horny Christians. That's what he said on this podcast, on his Facebook page. Uh, and I'm laughing, but I found so much truth to that, because a lot of times I'm finding that the body is rushing into marriage for sex, but not teaching people how to abstain. Because what happens if there's a time in your marriage where there is a possibility that you cannot have sex and you have not been taught how to abstain? So I say that because what if somebody gets sick in the marriage? and you can't have sex. Like, this is not just about sex before marriage. This is sex during marriage. So what happens when you're married and you cannot sleep with your spouse because your spouse is ill and you have not been properly taught how to abstain from sex? What do you do then? I mean, you can go back through counseling, but I feel like if it's taught ahead of time, then it will be a lot easier. If, I'm not saying that you will, but if you are faced with that challenge in your marriage. So I say this because I know so many people who have faced this type of challenge. And what do you do?
Um, that's a good question. For me, I think just I was just talking to a friend about this. Just I think it's just teaching and us getting an understanding of the root of what sex is and how intimate it is. You know, growing up, we were always told, wait until you're married. I grew up in the church. I don't know how, most people grew up, but growing up, I grew up in the church and we were taught you don't have sex before marriage. You don't have sex before marriage. And we were also, told out of fear as well. Because most of the time your parents don't want you to make certain mistakes, as in, like, for girls, that we don't want our daughters to get pregnant at a young age, so we're telling not to have sex. But I don't think that we did a good job in our generation of coming up of teaching us the ramifications that come with having sex outside of marriage in general.
Okay.
And so I think if we understood what comes along with sex, we would probably practice abstinence a lot more, like, even in the sense of, with, like you said, within marriage, abstaining from sex in marriage when you need to hear from God, going on fast with your husband or your wife, so you can hear from God, because sometimes we do use sex as a distraction, as a let me clear my mind, as a let me do, and so sex, because it's such a comfort for most people, I think that if people understood the ramifications of it and how big of a distraction it is, the things that you spiritually attract when you're having sex with different people, or even when you're having sex with your husband or your wife, if they have something going on spiritually, you're taking on those things through sex. So I just think that it is very important now that we have more of an understanding to teach our sons and teach our daughters the ramifications that come with sex and how important it is, even within marriage, to abstain from sex and seek God with your husband or your wife, and get better understanding from God what you're doing on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. I think that it comes with its challenges. Um, I know there are people who have uh, scared their children into not having sex and whatever they felt like it took. But I think that the best way to do it is to take it to God in prayer.
Yeah.
Tim Tebow, like, to listen to Tim Tebow, I think that his parents taught him the love of God
Mhm.
because of the way that kid speaks. All he heard was the love of God and how much God loves him. Like, the way like, we were taught a lot of the fear of God.
Yeah.
That kid, just the way he talks, tells me he was taught the love of God,
Mhm.
because you can tell the difference when people want you to be afraid versus someone teaching you love. It's almost like if you're in a marriage with someone who wants you to be afraid of them versus being in a marriage with someone who wants you just to love them.
Mhm.
Those people are going, one person is going to give fear, the other one is going to give love.
Mhm.
So it's very different, very different. And once you understand the difference between the two, God doesn't want us to be afraid of him. He just wants us to fear him.
Mhm.
It's a fear of reverencing him. That's the difference between the two. Like people say, oh, you God don't want us to be scared of him. It's a fear of reverencing who he is. It's a difference. So I just think that if you can teach your child to love themselves enough to understand what abstaining feels like instead of invoking fear, I it may, I don't know, I don't have children, I don't know, my the way my mother told it to us, and I can't say I waited till I got married because I didn't, but I can say this, I waited for a very very long time. I can say that much. um so I remember my mother saying the words to me is, never let a man use you for your body. And she told me that at such a young age to the point that I did not understand. And I was like, why would she say that kind of thing? Like, why would she say that? But what I didn't know and what she knew is I was developing and she saw me developing and she wanted me to know that what she see and I didn't see, she wanted me to see it and saying that body right there, don't let nobody use you for that right there. Like she was saying, okay, that right there, that's something different.
Mhm.
Don't let anybody use you for that right there. So I think there is, when you see your kids, especially your girls, when you start to see them, because girls don't look at boys as the way men look at little girls. You know, it's a different look. So when you see them developing in a certain way, it's something that you start to tell them that, you know, your body is different, it's special. So I think it's a way that you tell them, but I still believe that you still take it back to the Father and you start to explain those things. You start to ask God how to explain those things to your kids, to taking it back to God. I think that's the best way to do it. I think sometimes we miss that piece and we take it, well, how did you explain him? How did you explain him? How did you explain him? No, take it back to the Father. He made that little girl.
That goes back to the scripture where it says, in all your ways acknowledge him. A
Yes.
lot of times when we do teaching, we teach out of what we were taught, we
Yep.
teach out of what we think is right. But
Yes.
I think if we, like you said, and I'm learning, and I'm, I'm in the process. I've talked to you,
Yes.
you know more about my journey than the podcast. But
Yes.
like I explained to people, I never fully understood that verse. Like when
Mm-hmm.
he says, in all your ways acknowledge him,
Acknowledge me.
that
Mm-hmm.
means come to him for everything,
Everything.
not the
Yes.
things that you feel like you only need him for, not the things that you feel you're like, oh, that's a big guy, so I only go to him for my big problems. No, like he means in all your ways. Like, God, how do I teach my son how to tie his shoe? He should be at the age to tie his shoe. What, you made this kid, how do I teach him how to tie a shoe? God, I'm getting ready to open this door, Lord. I'm blessing it and I'm walking through, and I pray and ask that don't no spirits follow me in here, don't no spirits follow me out. When he say in all your ways, that's what he means. And that's something that I didn't fully grasp. I will always say that, God said all your ways acknowledge him, but I'm only acknowledging him when I have a big problem, not in my everyday mundane things. Like when I get in my car and crank my car, Lord, thank you for my car cranking up this morning. You know, we just get in the car, crank it, and we just drive off. So I think that it's just very important to understand when we're having these conversations about anything to acknowledge him and all of it, because God made us all different. So the way your mama taught you, God instilled in her what she needed to steward over you and to teach you. And when you have your kids, God instills in you what he wants you to steward into your children. So you have to ask him about your child. He gave your mother insight of what she needed to give you. Now I need to ask God insight of what to give this child that he blessed me with. And so it's just, like you said, going back to, it's just in all your ways, acknowledge him. Just
absolutely. 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 So we talked about family coming together, abstaining versus celibacy. I don't think we have no nuns and priests on this podcast. I don't. As a matter of fact, I don't think I have no nuns and priests as Facebook friends. If I do, more power to you. I'm supporting you, but I don't think I have none of them people on my Facebook page or my YouTube page. I don't think so. However, so you are abstaining, not celibate. We ain't no. You might be celebrating, not celibate. I think that dating. So I called my niece this morning and I told her something. I called her this morning and I told her something. And like I'm that auntie. Y'all know, if anybody got that auntie, I'm that auntie. I promise you, I'm that auntie. I am that auntie that you don't have to be embarrassed about nothing. You don't have to be whatever it is, right, wrong, or indifferent. You don't have to be ashamed. I could pray with you. You could be transparent because I'm gonna be transparent with you. I'm that auntie. Like I'm that auntie. And I'm gonna be real with you when I see it. If I see it, I just see it. And I called my niece this morning and I told her, I'll let you say it. Just say the word. I said you a what?
Bad chick.
She a bad chick. That's it. I told her she's a bad chick. And the reason I told her that is the reason why I would share this with, and this is for you ladies out there. There are a lot of women who are absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful women in their own right. Who will not stand in it. Who have been shunned by other women, have been pushed aside, and this is not her case, so I'm not talking about her. Who have been pushed aside by other people to not be able to stand in the right of the fact that God just made you beautiful. That's it. There's more to you than that, but you are that. And there's going to be some places and some doors that open up for you just because you're beautiful. Now I'm going to take it to the Bible. If you go to the book of Esther, Esther was able to get into the king's palace for two reasons: because she was beautiful and because she was a virgin. That's it. If she was ugly, she wasn't going to be able to get in the palace. If she hadn't already gave that stuff up before she went there, she wasn't going to be able to get in the palace. Those were the two reasons why she was able to get in the king's palace. Now, beauty is not going to keep you there. But in some places, it will get you there. Stop allowing people's perception of who they think you are on the outside. Stop making you not move in where God is telling you to go. This is for the women. It doesn't matter how you look here. If God is saying that's where you're supposed to be going, go. If you're beautiful, so be it. Take your cute stuff and go. That's just it. And it's because this whole superficial phenomenon is it's like stopping women who are just naturally beautiful or who may or may not feel like they're naturally beautiful. It's like stopping them from moving forward in so many things. Like, stop. Don't allow people's perception of what they think you are or who they think you are from moving on. When people see me, they see a plus size. Oh, she cute. She plus size. Oh, okay. I don't care what they see. I'm a bad chick. Period. But if I don't see that, I will let their perception of me determine who I am. So I don't allow people's perception of who they think I am determine who I am. So you have to not allow people's perception of who you are determine who you are. Even when it comes down to this whole colorism thing. Like when people say, you cute, you're a cute little dark-skinned chick. I was like, girl, I'm just cute. Chocolate or not, I'm cute. Like, you cannot allow people's perception of whether you're fair-skinned or dark-skinned or whatever to deter who you are. So I'm saying this to women because I'm so tired of all this body dysmorphia, this colorism, all of this stuff that we are going through, especially as women of color. We're doing it to ourselves. And then we're letting them put the cherry on top. If we stop, they'll eventually stop. But it starts with us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if we stop adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing about what we think beauty is, I think all Black women are beautiful. Mm-hmm. I don't care what your size is. I don't care what your color is. I don't care how long your hair is. Girl, buy a wig. I got one. Mm-hmm. Buy one. This is superficial stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, we have to get to a point in life, like this superficial stuff that we keep holding each other back with, that's just so irrelevant. Like, get to a point that you're so focused on building yourself professionally and personally that you can't even put your eyes on another woman to call her, to bring her down.
Right.
Go ahead. You want to add something, Lenendra?
Yeah, I just want to say that's all absolutely right. I like you said, I think all women are beautiful. I think all Black women are beautiful. It doesn't matter. And like you said, that's why I love my job, because I come in contact with so many young, beautiful Black women. And just to see, you can see the ones, like you said, how you called me today and was like, you're a bad chick. You can see the ones when they're not having a good day. I can see them walking around and with their heads down, with their headphones on, you know, you can tell. And they just need one of us, another Black woman, to tell them how beautiful they are. Pick your head up when you walk, you're beautiful, you know. And so I agree with you. I think it is very important that we stick together and that we pour into each other and that we uplift each other. And I will say, you know, in this generation, I see it a lot more where people are more open to go, hey, you're very beautiful. Hey, you, because we were taught in our, we didn't really like just talk to strangers. We didn't like, it was like we may walk by and be like in our mind, like, oh, she was very pretty. But the importance of actually just saying it to these people, like, oh, you are very beautiful. You're a very beautiful person, or you're very smart, or you have all of these things. You know, it's just important for us to pour into each other. And I love this generation in the sense of they don't mind doing that to each other. I watch them. I watch the younger women on campus, how they pour into each other, how they love on each other. And I'm like, you know, this is what they need. And,
Yes.
you know, I may be saying this with bias, but I think HBCUs are very valuable still, in the
Yes.
sense of getting to understanding our roots and being
Yes.
around people
Her
who look like
culture.
us and people who are very successful who look
Yes.
like them. And so, you know, with them being around those very successful other women of color, I think it is just very, very important that those older women and how those older women pour into those young ladies,
Yes.
because it can nip, like you said, a lot of that in the bud of the
Yes.
colorism, the what size we are, what shape we
Yes.
are. You know, I
Absolutely.
thoroughly enjoy being at work and just watching how beautiful those young ladies are and how they have their whole life ahead of them. And, you know, just being able to also be one of the older women who's able to pour into them and hug on them and tell them how beautiful they are, you know, as they go through their journey while they're there.
Yes. Yes. And that's important. Are you, I heard a girl say once, are you a faucet or are you a drain? Are you pouring into people like a faucet, or are you draining the life out of people like a drain?
Right.
Like that's what we want to be. We want to be faucets in life. We want to be able to pour into people, not a drain. We don't want people to see us coming like, oh, here she go.
Right.
Like, no. I remember at my job, I went on vacation for like 2 weeks. I think I was in Bali. And when I came back, this little young girl, she ran up to me. She was like, "Oh my God, Miss Erica, you've been gone for too long." That's what I want to be.
Yes.
I want to be the person that when I'm gone, I'm missed.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not missed when I'm gone, that's not the place for me.
Right.
That's how I feel. So, because I know who I am. So that means that I'm being misjudged wherever I am. So
Mm-hmm.
that's not the place for me.
Right.
Period. So that's my thing. That's how I gauge, is this the place for me? Because I pour into everywhere I go.
And that is important what you just said,
Yes.
because I think for a lot of young women
Mhm.
who haven't really fully stepped in who they are or knowing who they are, a lot of times they will bear the burden of thinking that it's something wrong with them because of the space that they're not fitting into, the space that they're trying to fit in, not understanding if you're not fitting into that space, it's just not for
For
you.
you.
It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It's just not for you. And that's okay, because God will create space for you and where you need to
Absolutely.
be. And so that's
Absolutely.
very important, because I remember being younger and bearing the burden of, you know, why don't I fit in certain spaces?
Or
And
you've outgrown it. Sometimes there's spaces that we outgrow.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's nothing wrong with outgrowing a space.
Right.
You're naturally supposed to eventually outgrow places, because
Mhm.
if you're remaining the same in that place, what is that place actually providing for you? Is
Right.
it a crutch?
Right.
Because you're naturally supposed to continue to grow in a space.
And now, don't get me wrong, uncomfortableness doesn't mean that that's not the space for you either, because
No.
that's another conversation for another day. Some people will, because they're uncomfortable or because it's not easy, they think it's not the space for them. In the sense, for like, you have some young women, especially women of color, when we walk into rooms that we know, and her name is Jasmine, but she speaks a lot on it. I'm sure there's a lot of days she's uncomfortable. She's in government, the young lady. Yes,
Yes.
her. I'm sure she's uncomfortable when she goes
Oh
to
yeah.
work a lot of days. And I'm
Uh-huh.
sure she feels like she doesn't fit a lot of days, but she belongs in that room. And God gave her the gift to be in that room. And just because sometimes we're uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that we shy away from everything. Because some people will take what we're saying. I know when we said that mean that's not the space for you. If you go, no, sometimes being uncomfortable is where God has you because he's growing you. And I'm
Yes.
sure when Jasmine Crockett first got into government, it's not a lot of women of color or women who look like her that are in those higher spaces of government like that. So I'm sure she was uncomfortable a lot of days, but she didn't give up in that space. And
Yeah,
so
she's definitely graced for what she's called for.
absolutely. So understanding
Yes.
uncomfortableness, and sometimes things are going to be hard, but we have to do the hard things sometimes too.
We
So
do. We
understanding
do.
that as a
That's
Black
definitely for
woman,
your growth.
don't let people make you feel like you don't belong in that space.
Yes.
Um, and just
Absolutely.
because it's uncomfortable at first, just because it's hard at first, you still belong. If that is your God-given purpose, don't let people trick you out of your spot either.
Absolutely.
So that's a twofold thing. Uncomfortableness does not always mean it's not the space for you. It means that it could also mean that God is calling you to grow in that
Yes.
space.
Yes. I've been in a lot of uncomfortable spaces, and I can tell you that I've grown in a lot of uncomfortable
Right.
spaces.
Right.
Absolutely. Um, we have about 3 minutes left. Just to let you all know, Lenedra and I will talk for hours. So we will not hold you all to our conversation. I can tell you one day I called Lenedra to ask her a question. 7 hours later, we were on the phone still. Seven hours. We were on the phone still for 7 hours, literally. So that's how much Lenedra and I will talk. But I just want to thank you all for listening in to us tonight. Just to let you know, we understand life be lifing, but our God still be guiding. We just know that, Jesus got your back. He got your front. He got your side. He got your left, your right, your west, your east, your south, your north. He got all that. If you understand the fact that he is your everything, and you can go to him for everything, no matter how much life be life, he right there. He is right there. I want to thank everybody who joined in. Miss Rhonda Rivers Townsend joined in with us again. Miss Apostle Sandra Miller, thank you so much, Miss Sandra, for joining in with us from Pensacola. I appreciate you. Sandra, Sandra's book is called, oh goodness, don't make me forget it. My Secret Life as a Pastor's Wife. Y'all get that. It is on Amazon. Go get Sandra's book. It's volume 1 and volume 2. Grab that book. Grab that book. And I've actually had Sandra on the podcast once before as well. So grab that book whenever you get a chance. Thank you, Brandy, Desiree, Dionys, and everyone else, Jazz, and everyone else who watched in tonight. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in with us. And follow us also on YouTube. Go back and watch some of the old shows on YouTube. We have several of the old shows on YouTube. Facebook only holds this live for 30 days. So, They do the most, but YouTube holds them forever. So you can go to Soulful Revelations by Erika on YouTube and watch this on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. Peace out.